Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. So, I understand that the Lakers play the Portland Trailblazers tomorrow at Crypto.com Arena, also known as the Crow. If you follow me, that's what I'm going to call it. And, we're coming off of split on our two-game road trip. Obviously, we got the game in Houston. And then, of course, yesterday dropped the game in Memphis. And, we had a big lead early on, or not a big lead, but we had the lead for the majority of the game. And then in the fourth quarter, fell apart, and that was that. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that the Lakers should probably make some adjustments and not do some of the things that they did last night. Obviously, going small, playing Carmelo Anthony at the 5. He's not a good center by any stretch of the imagination, nor should he ever be asked to play center, ever. So starting by putting players in positions to succeed and going away from cold hands. Guys who aren't making shots. THT was particularly bad last night. Don't play him as much if he's struggling like that. Carmelo Anthony didn't have it last night. Don't put him in that position. Don't play him as much. You got to go with the hot hand. I think for featuring Malik Monk offensively, scoring the ball particularly, makes a lot more sense to me than some of the things that we're running down there, because Malik Monk seems to be very efficient. His three-point shot is wet. He's extremely good at finishing around the rim, driving at the basket. He's explosive. He can get off the floor. I think he should probably get more like 10 shots a game at this point. Some of the shots that we're giving other players, no, that ain't it. Also, in terms of Russell Westbrook, it's gotten to a point where every time he touches the ball, I cringe. It was so bad last night that Malik Monk passed up an opportunity to pass him the ball down the stretch in the corner, didn't even complain about it. It was a bad play by Malik Monk, but I wasn't upset. I was like, go a different way. Don't give him the ball down the stretch. He's probably going to miss it. Now, usually when I think he's going to miss a corner three, he makes it. That's true. Because every time I say, no, he's going to miss it, he makes it. So at this point, it's like, all right, maybe he does make that three-point shot. He's hit some clutch shots in his career. There's a good chance he probably hits that one. But I don't blame Malik Monk for not getting the ball, because he was struggling to that degree. And it's not just the type of struggles where you're missing shots. It's the type of struggles where you're making bad decisions, turning the ball over. So, I don't blame Malik Monk for getting the ball back to Bron, seeing Russell Westbrook and saying, I'm not getting the ball. We're trying to win. And we don't know that Russell Westbrook's going to do anything to help us win. We hope he does. We remember him doing things in the past, helping other teams win in those situations. We've even seen him hit some clutch shots for us recently. But just like I said early on in his tenure when he started this turnover process, and I saw something like this occurring where players didn't want to necessarily pass him the rock, I say it's on him. Brother Westbrook, you're giving your teammates complexes. You're giving them a complex, man. It's like, no, I can't give him the ball. Even when it makes sense to get you the ball, it's like, no, I can't. They feel like they're going to get in trouble for getting you the ball. That's what that was. He felt like he was probably going to lose minutes if he got you the ball down the stretch and you didn't do the right thing with it. Let's just be real. So do I think Malik Monk needs to make that pass? Yeah, he needs to make the pass. But do you blame him for not? Hell no, you don't blame him for not. And that's one of the only times you ever say that. So that's on Russell Westbrook. You got to be more competent. You got to be more poised. You got to be more locked in, like Perk said, so that guys can trust you again. It ain't going to be hard to regain guys' trust because they've been watching you play for 13, 14 years. We know who you are. We know what you can do. It's just a matter of you doing it. So that's what I want to say in regards to Russell Westbrook. It's just, his struggles. We talked about them at length, why I think those things are happening. All of that is cool. But at the end of the day, it's time to keep going. Just like he said, just keep playing. And as you keep playing, literally, learn from your mistakes. That's all we ask. And look, coach is going to have to understand something. Whoever's coaching the team, whether it be Vogel or Fizz, you're going to have to understand something. When you create plays for Russell Westbrook to pass the rock to others, we're going to have to accept the fact that he's very poor at determining when a pass should be made and when it shouldn't. He's just poor at it. When you just have to just be honest about someone's deficiency. Some of us can do this. Shaq couldn't hit free throws or threes. At least everybody has their own thing. Russell Westbrook would be the worst quarterback in the NFL. That's what it is. Because he can't determine when a guy's open and when he's not. For whatever reason, his brain doesn't say, hey, there's like literally hands in front of where the ball's being passed. Defensive hands. I should not pass there. Let me go elsewhere. Let's work around and see what our other options are. That part of his thinking does not serve him in those moments. He will force a pass and it will get picked off. And after you see this 100 times and you say, man, why is he passing the ball when it's clearly covered? Why is he continuing to force pass? It's because that part of him doesn't really serve him. It just is what it is. So you gotta pull him out of them circumstances. The only plays we should be running for Russell Westbrook is him diving at the basket, or the play where he gets the ball to Bron as he dives to the basket. That's kind of the only thing I really want to see Russell do. I don't mind him missing layups unless they're the type of layups he's missing down the stretch of games that cost us basketball games. Those are definitely missed layups we don't want. But his aggression, like LBJ said, is good. We want a player to play as hard as he does because you're not going to get anybody else to play that hard, probably anywhere. I mean, like literally. And I don't take that for granted. I always remind everybody in the midst of all his turnovers, all his struggles, bad defense, poor shooting, all of the stuff that we have, you cannot duplicate his aggression diving at the basket. You know, he's going to always be moving downhill, creating opportunities for the defense to have to address him. He's always going to draw double teams just for how fast he's moving. He's always going to have people kind of jerking toward him as he dives into the basket, and that's going to open up opportunities for him to pass the rock to open players. So that aspect of his game is always going to be there. We don't want to lose sight of what he brings to the table from a positive standpoint. However, as I said, we just got to stop putting him in these positions to run these half-court plays. That's it. God dang it, I finally got it. I figured it out right here and now. We can't run half-court with this guy, man. No more slow-pace Russell Westbrook basketball. Everybody else, and I mean everybody else, seems to play okay at the pace that we play in. Because to me, the pace that we play in is a pretty average pace for an NBA basketball team. But he's on like 2 or 3 notches higher than that at all times. So when he passes the rock, he's passing it out of rhythm at all times. And another thing I'm not a real fan of, even though they convert, a lot of the passes that he tosses to players put them in very, very awkward positions. Positions where they probably are going to be jumping to catch it and coming down on somebody's leg, or positions to where, as we said, throwing it into coverage. It's where it gets picked off. But even more so, just stuff like, putting guys in positions to where they can't really score because of how awkward the timing of his pass is. It's a lot of that. A lot of the time. If you notice, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's like even the passes he gets to LBJ, they're not in rhythm in his pocket so they can just turn and lay the ball up. He usually has to make an adjustment to catch it and then make the move. And that is the difference between making the possession work and not in a lot of cases. It really is. If a guy has to make an adjustment to catch a bad pass or a pass that's errant, yeah, that's going to affect everything, especially with a guy like Carmelo Anthony. He's really, really one of those guys where as long as he gets in his pocket, he's automatic. But if he has to adjust, it's not going to go. So we need good pocket passers, and we need Russell Westbrook to improve with the pace that we're playing at. Now, here's the thing. I think if we just look at this season as a wash, what you can see is a lot of basketball ahead. If you just ignore the fact that we're about to miss the playoffs or only be a 9th seed or whatever the heck we're going to be, what you see, if we can't trade Russell Westbrook, is many, many, many more times for him to work this pace and get more comfortable with it. Because even though it feels like the season has been going on forever already, the reality is it's only December, the end of December, and we got a lot of basketball left to play. Now, that doesn't apply when you're considering trying to vie for playoff positioning, because quite honestly, it ain't a lot of basketball to play when you're considering our standings and what we need to do to get back into it. But if you forget all of that and just say, okay, we just need to improve. We're stuck with these 3 contracts. We just need to improve. And whatever happens at the end, we just let it be. That you can say, going into next season, we shouldn't see the same timing issues with Russell Westbrook that we're seeing right now. Now, to be honest with you, even as I say that, that makes me miserable, because that means that we actually have him next year, and I don't want that. But what I'm saying is if we're stuck with him, I think the worst of him is happening right now, and as he continues to play in this system, he'll get more comfortable. It's going to take a long time because cut and dry, I'm not seeing him learning from those mistakes. It's not manifesting. But I haven't forgotten something. Let me tell you what I haven't forgotten. Russell Westbrook at UCLA and how fast his draft stock rised. I haven't forgotten that. When he was first coming into his own, very, very, very first coming into his own, one thing you could always say about Russell Westbrook is that he was relentless. Relentless. And even though it took a long time for him to get comfortable in OKC's situation, eventually he turned himself into an MVP there. So what I'm saying is, reps, lots of reps in the situation for a guy like Russell Westbrook will get him to a point where what he's doing here is second nature. And that's a very good thing for him because he's constantly on autopilot. And that's what I know. It's the same reason why he struggled so bad in Washington at the beginning of the season and was so good in Washington by the end of the season. Because a guy like that just needs everything to get to a point where it's comfortable in his head. He don't have to think about it. That's the thing. As long as he has to think, we're in trouble. But once he gets to a point where the consistency is so automatic for him till he knows everybody's there, that's where they're going, this is what we're doing, this is where other guys are, that is when he's at his best. As long as he's not forced to think and he can just be, oh man, you're gonna get 30-point Russell. 30-point Russell can do that. But yeah, I think the Lakers. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to go into my head of what it worked. One thing I know for sure is that Russell Westbrook can always play with Steven Adams. That is what I know. Now, never mind where Steven is in his career, all of that, how much production he can give you. I don't care about all that right now. I'm just thinking, how do we get to a point where Russell Westbrook is comfortable? How can we make it so that all that's going on right now isn't as thought worthy to where he can just be second nature? And the answer to that is get him his old guys. That's the answer to that. You got to get him his center back. And like I said, I don't think Steven Adams, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries. Last night he had like 7 boards, but didn't really, wasn't a whole lot of production there. So, he's a young guy and since he's like 28. So, you gauge what you expect from him going forward. But if I'm Rob Pelinka, I'm going to go try to see if I can get him out of Memphis. So I can bring him to us as our center for Russell Westbrook. Because Russell Westbrook always knew how to get him the ball. They played in a rhythm that was second nature for him. They ran, Steven always ran screens hard, shoots the free throw well, rebounds well. And it's just like Brodie doesn't have to think playing with this guy. He don't have to think. That's the point. So I think that is something the Lakers should consider. Maybe have a conversation with him, see who he would like to play with. I think this is important. I think LBJ should be on board with this too. We have got to create an environment that is more comfortable for the Brodie. You have to. Because if you don't, you stuck with him, and him uncomfortable is this. And this is bad. And since you can't trade him, as I said, you got to almost build around him. And look, Bron, this is what you signed up for, brother. You signed up for this. And you just got to live with what comes with this now, That's what I tell LeBron, bro. You got to relinquish some power and let the Lakers do what they have to do to get this team better, or you're not going to have a championship here. Or another one, rather. It's going to be an end of your championship days. But if you can figure this thing out with Brodie, get him to a space where he's not thinking and doing more, just everything else falls into place, in my opinion. Well, maybe not, but at least we'll get more out of those two players. Because a lot of them turnovers and all this stuff is just because he's thinking, man. Because we're running plays that he's not familiar with, or not running plays at all, and asking him to improvise. Asking him to do stuff that he's just not very good at. And then getting mad at him when he doesn't do right. I just think that a lot of that is on us. The coaching staff, rather, the team itself. It's on us. We got to bring him we got to recognize that he's struggling, and then do what you can as an organization to help him with that. So it needs to happen. Well, what needs to happen is you need to trade him, but I don't think you can. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't think the Lakers are going to have success trading Brodie, because I don't think anybody's going to want that contract at all, man. I don't think there's a single team in the league that would be wise for bringing that contract in. None of them. None of them. No team currently constructed is better with Russell Westbrook. Not even us. Not at that price. Now, if he was at a regular $15 million contract or something, yeah, there's a couple teams that would be great bringing his aggression. Any team that's stagnant, that can't seem to get any energy about themselves, any team that doesn't have any interior presence, that only plays the perimeter, can't seem to win the scoring battle on the inside, those are teams that Russell Westbrook can go to and help. Teams that already have a lot of defense but no offense and no energy, he can help them. Now, I don't know what that team is. I'm not thinking about that team right now. Who knows? They may not exist. But that's the type of situation I think he flourishes in right now. So, again, I don't think that exists, which means we're stuck with him. So, my solution is to bring us some of the players that he was most comfortable playing with. The players that come to mind is Enes Kanter Freedom, which we definitely ain't picking up because of the LeBron James factor, and Steven Adams, his trusty center, who he always made look good, and who always made him look good, no matter what. All the little dump passes when he drives to the rim and tosses the ball into midair and jumps and tosses it somewhere. Steven Adams catches those balls. Steven Adams understands his rhythm. You understand what I'm saying? Those aren't turnovers. Steven Adams is ready for that nonsense because he played with him for so long. See what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that's what we need to do. We need to find some familiarity for Brodie and bring it to him. And being that Xavier Tillman is playing so well in Memphis, I think they may be willing to part with Steven Adams. His contract ain't great. So I don't know if we'd be able to afford it to begin with, now that I think about it. But we would need to find a way to just bring something to Brodie that makes him comfortable, man. I'm telling you. Because as long as he's trying to pass the ball to these unfamiliar players and the situation's getting more and more tight, he's just going to continue to pass the ball the way that he is. And I don't know if we're making the adjustments or not. It could continue to be bad. And I don't want to see that. Nobody does if you're rooting for us. So that's what I wanted to say, man. I started off thinking I was going to talk about the Portland Trail Blazer game tomorrow. But to be honest with you, I'll probably make another video about that. At the end of the day, I just wanted to come on here and express what I'm thinking. And then, of course, came to the idea that what we need to do is make Brodie more comfortable. So that's what I got. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for rocking with me. I'm out.